His smile should have terrified me. I'm learning that now. From the way the court has frozen in place around me. From the way guards have shifted position. From the way every single person in this room is holding their breath, like the world has just balanced on a knife's edge, and no one knows which direction it's going to fall. But I'm not afraid. I'm standing in front of the Alpha King with my heart in my throat and my hands steady, and all I can feel is the relief of finally saying something true in a place built on lies. He's still smiling. Everyone else looks like they're watching an execution. The morning court convenes at 8 o'clock sharp, which means I'm on duty at 7:30 to make sure the records are arranged correctly. I'm a scribe. Low-ranking, invisible, the kind of omega no one looks at twice, because I'm useful in the way furniture is useful, functional and easy to ignore. This is exactly how I like it. I've spent 3 years in the palace, being remarkable for my unremarkability. I file reports, transcribe decisions, organize the chaos that comes from running a kingdom. I do my job so well that no one notices me doing it, which means no one bothers me, which means I'm left alone to exist quietly in the margins. It's a good life for someone like me. The good life ends on a Tuesday morning when the Alpha King decides to destroy a merchant family because their daughter refused his courtship. The Torsion family, he announces to the assembled court, will have their trading license revoked. Their assets will be seized. They will be exiled from the kingdom. This is the consequence of insulting an alpha of royal blood. He says it casually, like he's discussing the weather. Like he hasn't just decided to ruin people because a teenage girl was frightened of being claimed by a man she'd never met. The room nods along. Everyone agrees this is justice. Everyone agrees that honor demands punishment. Everyone agrees that an Omega's refusal is worth destroying her entire family. Except me. I'm filing the order, actually writing down the words that will destroy these people, when something in me just breaks. It's not a noble break. It's not a planned break. It's not the kind of break that comes from moral certainty or bravery. It's the break that comes from having stayed quiet for 3 years and suddenly realizing that staying quiet means you're complicit, that invisibility isn't safety, it's just a slower way of disappearing. So I stand up. This is stupid. This is catastrophically stupid. This is the kind of stupid that gets people executed. But I stand up anyway, and I walk to the center of the court, and I do something that no one has done in the memory of anyone currently living. I tell the Alpha King he's wrong. That's unjust, I say. My voice is steady, which surprises me. My hands are shaking, which also surprises me. But the words keep coming, and I let them. Your Majesty, what you're doing is unjust. The room stops breathing. I'm not exaggerating. Actual oxygen seems to leave the room. Every single person who was sitting, standing, existing in this space a moment ago has gone absolutely still. It's like I've said something physically impossible. Like I've claimed the sun doesn't exist or the earth isn't round. Repeat that, the Alpha King says. Casually, like he didn't hear me correctly. Like surely I didn't just say what it sounds like I said. But I did. And I'm committed now, so I keep going. A girl refused a courtship, I say. That's not an insult to your honor. That's her exercising the only choice she had. You're destroying her family because she was afraid. Because she said no. That's not justice. That's not honor. That's cruelty dressed up as power. There is a sound then, it's very small. It's the sound of one of the guards shifting his weight. It's the sound of a queen inching backward. It's the sound of the entire court trying very hard not to be present for what comes next. The Alpha King stands up. He's tall. I've never been this close to him before, and I'm struck by the sheer presence of him. Like the air itself is heavier around him, like gravity works differently in his proximity. His eyes are gold, that specific alpha gold that means old blood, old power, things that predate human civilization. He walks toward me. Every step he takes, I want to run. Every step, my survival instinct is screaming at me to flee, to apologize, to do anything to make this stop. But I plant my feet, and I meet his eyes, and I do not move. You're a scribe, he says. It's not a question. Yes, Your Majesty. You file my orders. Yes, Your Majesty. And you think you have the moral authority to question them. No, I say, and I realize this is the most important word I've said. I don't have authority. I have a conscience. They're different things. He stops, maybe 2 feet away from me. Close enough that I can smell winter forests and old magic. Close enough that his wolf is right there at the surface of his skin, visible in the shimmer of gold in his eyes. And he smiles. It's not a small smile. It's not a private smile. It's a full, genuine, absolutely terrifying smile that reaches his eyes and transforms his entire face. It's the smile of someone who just found something they've been looking for without knowing they were looking for it. The court reacts like he's pulled a sword. I watch them, the panic, the fear, the way every single person in this room has decided that something very bad is about to happen. I watch them wait for him to reach out and claim me or destroy me, or do whatever an alpha does when someone challenges him so publicly, so completely, so thoroughly. But he doesn't do any of those things. Instead, he says, "What's your name?" "Kira." "Your Majesty." "Well, Kira, you're fired. The fallout, I leave the palace within the hour. I pack my things, not many, because I've never accumulated much, and I say goodbye to no one, because no one has ever thought to befriend the invisible scribe. And I walk out through the servants' exit without looking back, convinced that this is the best possible outcome. He could have killed me. He could have claimed me. He could have done any number of things. Instead, he fired me, and I'm free. Free feels like relief. Free also feels like I've made the most catastrophic mistake of my life. It becomes clear approximately 6 hours later when I'm packing the second half of my belongings and there's a knock on my door. He's not there himself. He sends someone, a guard, high-ranking from the insignia, looking absolutely bemused to be tasked with finding a low-ranking Omega scribe who just talked back to his king. "The Alpha King requests your presence," the guard says. "I was fired. He requests your presence anyway. I don't work there anymore." "He's aware," the guard says, and he has the good grace to look sympathetic. He's also not really making this optional. The summons I'm brought to his private study, which is terrifying for reasons that have nothing to do with violence and everything to do with the fact that this is not a public place. This is not a place where there are witnesses or protocols or the safety of formality. This is a place where an alpha can do whatever he wants. And no one can say it's unjust. He's alone when I arrive, and I'm grateful for that. I don't know what I expected. Guards, witnesses, some kind of formal proceeding. But there's just him, sitting behind his desk like he's waiting for me to arrive so he can get to something important. "Sit," he says. I sit. "I have a question," he continues. "And I need you to answer it honestly, because I'm reasonably certain you have no capacity for dishonesty. The honesty that got you fired in the first place." I nod, because I have no idea what else to do. "Did you know what you were doing?" he asks. "When you stood up and told me I was wrong, in front of my entire court, in front of my council, in front of every person in this kingdom who's terrified of me, did you understand what you were doing?" "No," I admit, I didn't. "I realize now that I was catastrophically stupid." "You were catastrophically brave," he corrects. or catastrophically foolish, possibly both. But stupid implies you were acting without understanding the implications, and I don't think that's true. I think you understood perfectly well that what you were saying could get you killed. I think you said it anyway. I don't respond because I'm not sure what the right answer is. I've been king for 15 years, he says, turning to look out his window at the city below. Before that, I was a warrior. Before that, I was a boy who was told repeatedly that an alpha's power is absolute, that we don't explain ourselves, that we don't justify our actions to those beneath us. And I believed it. I believed it so completely that it became truth in this kingdom. What an alpha says is law. What an alpha wants is right. What an alpha decides is justice. He turns back to me. But you made me realize something this morning, he continues. You made me realize that I've gotten very comfortable with that belief, that I've stopped questioning it, that I've forgotten there's a difference between power and right. Your Majesty, the Torsion family will have their license restored, he says. Their assets will be returned. They will not be exiled. The girl who refused my courtship will be given the option to marry someone else, and no consequence will befall her. I'm making this decision because you were right, because an Omega's refusal is not an insult. It's a boundary. And I've spent so long being surrounded by people who tell me I'm right that I forgot what it sounds like when someone tells me I'm wrong. I realize I'm holding my breath. I fired you because I was angry, he continues. Not at you, at myself, but I'm unfiring you now, if you want the job back. I don't. I say quietly. He blinks. What? I don't want the job back. I appreciate the gesture, and I understand what you're trying to do. But I can't go back to that place and be invisible again. I can't pretend I didn't say those things. I can't exist in a world where you're still the king and I'm still just a scribe filing his orders, and we both know what I think of him. What do you think of me? He asks. I consider lying. It would be safer. It would be smarter. It would be the kind of choice that lets me walk out of this study and back to my quiet life. I think you're powerful and arrogant and used to getting your way, I say. I think you just fired me because I challenged you, which means you're also petty and easily bruised, but I also think you're willing to admit you were wrong, which is rarer than it should be. I think you're capable of growth, even if that growth comes from someone else forcing you to acknowledge your own impact. I think you're interesting in a dangerous, complicated way that terrifies me. He stands up, and I tense, because this is the moment where the other shoe drops. This is the moment where kindness ends, and something else begins. But all he does is walk toward me. He extends his hand. Marry me, he says. And I laugh, actually laugh out loud, because of course that's what an alpha does when he's interested in someone. He decides, declares, announces it like it's a foregone conclusion. No, I tell him. No? Absolutely not. You just fired me for being honest with you. You've known me for maybe 4 hours if we're being generous. You've spent 15 years thinking that your word is law. And now you want me to marry you because I challenged you, because I'm different from the people who surround you? That's not romance. That's you collecting something unusual. What if I said I'd change? He asks. I wouldn't believe you. Change takes time. It takes effort. It takes genuine commitment to being different than you've been. You've had one conversation where I told you that you were wrong. That's not enough time to change 15 years of conditioning. What would be enough time? I consider this. I don't know. A year? 5 years? Long enough that I'm not just the novelty of being challenged. Long enough that I know you're serious about being different. Long enough that you prove it's not just about wanting me, but about actually wanting to be better. He nods slowly. Okay, then I won't ask you to marry me today. But I'm asking you this. Will you stay? In the palace, in whatever capacity you want, doing whatever work interests you. Will you stay and let me try to be the kind of alpha that doesn't need everyone in the room to be afraid of him? Why? I ask. Because you're right, he says simply. And I've forgotten what that sounds like. And I don't want to forget again. The year's a year turns into 2, which turns into 5. I don't marry him. But I do stay. I become something between an advisor and a conscience, someone who has permission to tell the king when he's making a mistake. Someone who has earned the right to question his decisions, not through fear, but through consistent honesty. The court adapts. Some of the older nobles leave, uncomfortable with the fact that the Alpha King actually listens to objections. But younger people start arriving, people who are tired of the old power structures, people who wonder what a kingdom would look like if strength meant something different than absolute authority. He changes, slowly, not spectacularly, but genuinely. He still makes decisions that impact thousands of people. But now he questions those decisions. He asks for input. He admits when he's wrong, and I watch him do it, and I realize that what's happening isn't romance in the way the stories say it should be. It's something more complicated and more real. It's a man learning that power is a responsibility, not a right. It's an Omega learning that speaking up doesn't have to destroy you. It's 2 people building something that wasn't predetermined, wasn't written in biology or destiny, but was chosen deliberately and maintained through effort. He asks me to marry him again on the 5th anniversary of the day I talked back to him in court. I know you said no, he says. I know I haven't earned it yet. But I'm asking again because I'm different than I was. Because you made me different. Because I want to build a life with someone who's willing to tell me when I'm wrong, and I want to spend the rest of my life learning to deserve that. I tell him I'll think about it. I think about it for 3 weeks. Then I say yes. Not because he's an alpha. Not because he's a king. Not because I'm obligated, or because the court expects it, or because it's what's supposed to happen when someone powerful decides you matter. I say yes, because in 5 years of telling him the truth, he's never once punished me for it. Because he's actually changed, not just claimed to change. Because I've fallen in love with him, not despite his flaws, but in full knowledge of them. Because he's learnt to smile at challenge, instead of seeing it as threat. Epilogue. The court on the day we're officially married. The court goes silent again. But it's a different silence. It's not the silence of terror. It's the silence of witnessing something they didn't expect to see. An alpha king choosing an equal instead of a subordinate. Choosing someone who will question him instead of worship him. Choosing a partnership instead of a claim. The old nobles look uncomfortable. The new ones look hopeful. The guards don't have hands on weapons. And when he looks at me across the ceremony, he smiles that same smile that terrified everyone in the room 5 years ago. Only now, I'm smiling back. Because I've learned that true power isn't about authority or control or the ability to decide for others. True power is the vulnerability to be challenged and the strength to actually listen. True power is standing in front of everyone you've ever intimidated and saying, "She was right. I was wrong. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life being worthy of that." The whole court goes silent. Then, slowly, they start to applaud. And the Alpha King, who once thought his word was law, realizes he's finally become something more interesting than powerful. He's become someone who chose to be better. And that's the only thing that could have possibly made me say yes.